I hate rendering code with a burning passion. Like, this is a compilation of the various bugs I encountered just trying to get my game to draw stuff. Like, you just have this entity popping in out of, like, hyperspace or some... I'm very proud of my game's graphical fidelity, but the road to get here was a bitch. Let's start from the beginning. I make my levels out of tiles. You put them together, you get a tile map. Now, we could draw these tiles one by one, and that makes things pretty easy, you know, because each tile's its own thing. Alternatively, we can merge all the tiles together into one large mesh and send it off to the GPU in one go. Now, that method has some benefits, because limiting the number of things we send to the GPU makes it run much faster. The disadvantages? Each mesh can only have one texture, and currently I use 4. I just think usability-wise it's nice to have, you know, your grasslands, dungeons, and deserts in separate images. Also, some GPUs can't handle larger textures, so you have to keep the resource limit in mind as well. The solution to this is the Tile Atlas. You load in all the tiles that you're going to need at that moment in time, at runtime, stitch them together into one large texture cache, and then you can use that to draw your... your tile maps. There were no problems in implementing this. But you don't want just one tile map. You know, after all, just some terrain without anything running about on it does not a game make. And despite only using 2D graphics, I don't want my game to be stuck only in 2 dimensions. And so the solution is to have multiple layers. And in my game, these layers are made by having some set groups drawing on top of each other. Now, for the demonstrations, I'm going to be using some assets from my older projects. So, in terms of visual cohesion, there's not going to be any visual cohesion. Just bear with this for a second. The bottom group is the floor. That's where the tile map's going to go, and things like footstep graphics and puddles. The group above that is the entity group. It's where most of the gameplay is going to take place. You're going to have your players, your enemies, bullets and attacks, that sort of thing. This is also the only group to be sorted before the render graph can be drawn to screen. And it does this so that things draw in the order that the players expect them to. And then the last group is the effect group. This is where things like, you know, damage numbers during combat, some fog effects, or like, you know, insects if you're in like a marsh level, for example. That's where all that'll be put. Anything you want above the gameplay. And this is a real break from what I did in my older games, because in my older games, instead of having an entity component system, I had set types for everything, and these types had to be kept track of and drawn to the screen in the correct order so that the enemies wouldn't display above the HUD, for example. But with this render graph, I can mix and match whatever I like with the knowledge that when it's all put on screen, it'll be put on screen in the correct order, and it'll draw correctly no matter how many times or what parts of it we're drawing. And this is going to let us, if we like, get a little bit fancy. If you add multiple dimensions, it's going to open the door to features like caves. But when the player goes into the cave, you're going to still want to see the player and everything that's inside of the cave. Unfortunately, the cave roof is in the way, but you know where this starts on the render graph. It's just the layer above the layer the player's on. So once you get there, you can start drawing all of the render graph entries to a separate texture. And once that's all done, you can merge it back onto the top and... Wait. Since you have the 2 separate graphics, my thought was that you could just merge them on top of each other. I even had this nice cartoony like, pop graphic. I was quite proud of that. This took me weeks to fix, you know? Because, like, I could just flip it in the shader, but then other effects might go wrong too, and I don't know why it's doing this. Like, I'm just changing which texture it's drawing to. Why is it upside down? And it turns out it's because of this function. I just didn't call it. Because apparently, SFML, the graphics library I'm using, draws everything upside down, and this is what flips it back up again. I don't know why it doesn't just draw things properly the first time. And then we get on to reflections. Now, I could explain what went wrong with my first attempt, But the thought of having to edit that fills me with despair, and so we're going to skip a few days ahead to attempt 2. What I did is you first take your entity group, you scale its height by -1.4 and you draw that out first. You then can start drawing the floor group, and anything that needs reflections can just grab that reflection texture at the screen space that it's at. You can then redraw the entity group and then the effect group, and you have your layer with transparency. Well, there goes the camera. We're still rolling. Yeah, this is going in the video. Like, I'm not a professional. This setup. This setup is cursed, and it's going to keep going. This isn't gonna hold. Is this gonna hold? This might hold. Is this holding? This will be fine. This will be fine. Okay, so you redraw your entity group, then your effects group, and you have your layer with transparency. It didn't go nearly as smoothly as I make it sound, though. There are a few reasons, but one of the main ones is that in shaders, colors go from 0 to 1. Texture coordinates go from 0 to 1. And so screen space coordinates, you guessed it, follow your actual screen resolution. But now we have reflections working, and redrawing almost everything on the layer is kind of performance-wise, but I'm making a small 2D game, not Call of Shoot 'em Out 8 with realistic horse testicles and forehead sweat. It's fine. And there you have it. I have to say, I'm pretty proud of where my game's graphics are at, and with all this work done, that's basically just like a toggle on and off, I can get some pretty cool effects without any extra work down the line, and that's what making a game framework's all about. I hope you have liked this brief adventure through making the graphics, and I hope you join me along for my other adventures as well. You know, you can either click on the video that's on screen, or you could subscribe, or you could set my YouTube channel as a bookmark, and then you could come back and look at it sometimes. You could even set your homepage to be my YouTube channel, you know? Really get up-to-date